Yeah, Jerry, Lori, we've reached out to one of those major airports. That's Philadelphia International Airport. They said they plan to remain open and fully operational as these flight cuts start, similar to here as Harrisburg International Airport, where they say that passengers should pay attention specifically to their airlines when these flight cuts start.
We really are just working as closely as we can with the airline partners who are going to be impacted by this.
Harrisburg International Airport services a handful of regional flights daily, from Philadelphia to Charlotte, even Atlanta.
We're very hopeful right now that we don't see any impacts for our customers.
A nationwide partial flight reduction. 10% of flights at 40 of the U.S.'s major airports will be halted because of a record government shutdown.
When we see pressures building in these 40 markets, we just can't ignore it, and we're not going to wait for a safety problem to truly manifest itself.
Over the last 37 days of shutdown, air traffic controllers and TSA have gone without pay. The National Air Traffic Controllers Association said many ATC staffers working mandatory overtime 6 days a week have called in sick at major U.S. airports.
And I want to reassure the American travelers that it is absolutely safe to fly in the American skies.
At Harrisburg International, there has been no flight reduction impact yet.
We've been very fortunate that our federal partners with TSA and the FAA and our air traffic control tower continue to show up to work.
American Airlines, who operates numerous regional flights out of HIA, tells News 8 passengers will not face any penalties for canceled or rebooked flights. They thanked federal workers for working without pay, adding, "We continue to urge leaders in Washington to reach an immediate resolution to end the shutdown."
Now, officials here at HIA tell me that passengers should expect to hear from their airlines about cancellations starting today, and to frequently check your airline's app for those updates as well. So make sure that those apps that you have for your airlines are up to date. And the best way that it was described to me about these flight cuts is treat it as if weather could potentially impact your upcoming flight. At Harrisburg International Airport, AJ Sisson, News 8.
AJ, thank you. And late this afternoon, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to find the money to fully fund SNAP benefits for November. The ruling was in response to a challenge from cities and nonprofits complaining the administration was only offering to cover 65% of the maximum benefit. The Trump administration said it would not pay benefits at all for November because of the federal shutdown. Last week, two judges ordered the government to pay at least partial benefits using an emergency fund. In Pennsylvania, the state can't afford to backfill SNAP benefits, which are federally funded. But we got an update today on one effort to ensure families in need are fed. 8 News High political reporter Tom Lehman joins us live from the state capitol in Harrisburg with what we're learning tonight. Tom.
Well, Jerry, Governor Josh Shapiro in northeastern Pennsylvania today saying that, again, they cannot backfill the SNAP funding that right now is being held up. There's still some legal wrangling, as you just heard, regarding that is still happening. But Shapiro said they're using millions of dollars in state funds, as well as private fundraising from people like Harrisburg's own Peggy Grove, to try to make sure that food pantries' shelves are still stocked. One person who operates a food pantry here in Harrisburg told me the money's going to go a long way.
About 100 people picked up bags of food or other supplies at the Harrisburg area food pantry on Thursday.
It's been incrementally increasing, and then this month, over the top increases.
Deidre Lanker with the Harrisburg area food pantry says there's been a 44% increase in demand this week for food since November SNAP benefits were not loaded onto EBT cards.
I don't know all their stories, but we know all the different reasons that may be, whether they're a federal worker or someone who was making ends meet with that SNAP benefit, and now there's a gap they need to fill.
In northeastern Pennsylvania, at the Weinberg Northeast Regional Food Bank, Governor Shapiro said $5 million in taxpayer money he directed to food banks through a disaster declaration has been coupled with $2 million in private donations.
I believe in getting stuff done, not playing political games. I think, unfortunately, D.C. does too much posturing, too many political games, and not enough solving problems.
Lanker says the money will go a long way, but she hopes the standoff between congressional Republicans and Democrats will end soon.
It's scary times. I can tell, folks are on edge.
Now, taking a look at what some of our members of Congress are saying, the finger pointing certainly still continuing. Republican Congressman Lloyd Smucker from Lancaster County saying the nearly 2 million Pennsylvanians who use SNAP are being used by congressional Democrats as political leverage instead of a vote to reopen the government. This all essentially stemming from a fight over a continuing resolution to keep the government open through that funding measure. Senate Democrats have been holding out on allowing that measure to pass because they want to see extensions for Affordable Care Act subsidies. We'll continue to follow developments, but for now, here in Harrisburg, Tom Lehman, News 8.
All right, Tom, thank you. Remember, WGAL has teamed up with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank to raise money for families in need without SNAP support. You can donate by scanning the QR code you see on your screen. And just a reminder, every dollar you give provides 4 meals, so giving makes a huge impact. And some Susquehanna Valley businesses are also helping people who are without SNAP benefits, but they have to follow some government rules. News 8's Bailey Martin joins us live from Lancaster County with more on what they're asking these stores to do. Bailey?
Businesses like Grocery Outlet here in Lancaster are doing all they can to help their customers who are struggling financially right now, especially those who rely on SNAP benefits. Some stores are even offering discounts if you come in and show your SNAP card. The USDA is telling business owners that this isn't allowed. Local businesses that accept SNAP are doing what they can to help their customers, like Grocery Outlet Bargain Market on Lincoln Highway, who started their Good Neighbor cart.
Peanut butter, jelly, bread, pasta sauce, that sort of thing. And the idea was, the customers can donate to the cart if they want. We're asking them to round up or to give items or whatever they want to give.
It's not only for SNAP recipients.
We're not targeting anybody. Anybody who has a need can come in. There's no documentation to show.
It's an important distinction to make. The USDA recently sent a letter to nearly all stores that accept SNAP, reminding them of what's called the SNAP Equal Treatment Rule. According to the USDA website, it means stores have to offer foods at equal pricing for everyone, and SNAP EBT customers cannot be treated differently. That includes receiving discounts. There are consequences for breaking this rule.
You lose your license. I mean, it's a good percentage of my business. So yeah, it's definitely something that every grocery store wants to have. They want to have the ability to take SNAP.
So anyone, no matter the hardship, can take what they need.
And if everybody helps a little bit, I think everybody will have food for the holidays like they should. They just want to make sure everybody's treated the same. And that's loud and clear, understood.
If you have a store that accepts SNAP and you'd like to continue to help out, you can still do that, just as long as you're providing the opportunity for everyone in need and don't specify it just for SNAP recipients. Live in Lancaster County, Bailey Martin, WGAL News 8.
Bailey, thank you. An Elizabethtown, Lancaster County man is charged with kidnapping after police say he took off with 6 children because Children and Youth Services were coming to take emergency custody. Police say CYS were taking custody of 39-year-old Robert Christensen Jr.'s children because of neglect and physical abuse. Police spotted Christensen's vehicle in Cambria County and police arrested him. The children were unharmed.
A citywide camera surveillance system will not be coming to York as City Council voted down the proposal last night. News 8's Marcy Walsh is live with reaction from the community as well as the police commissioner. Marcy.
Lori, this proposal was made by York SafeNet, a nonprofit aiming to cut down on crime by putting cameras on city-owned poles. Now, at last night's city council meeting, residents came out and voiced their concerns, and this proposal ultimately failed in a 3-2 vote.
I just looked at the cameras on the map, and I mean, it's intrusive. It is just in your face.
Some concerns from residents range from what they said is a lack of planning and transparency to not enough input from the public about the project.
There has been no further public input. There has not been a real feasibility study. And I can say that because I know I do feasibility studies for a living.
In response to those concerns, Councilwoman Elspeth Bupp proposed an amendment to the resolution. She told me because of those community concerns and her personal feelings of not wanting to live under a surveillance system, she proposed a test project for the camera network so they could do a proof of concept.
The amendment I will propose incorporates York SafeNet's proposed operating policies, guaranteeing constitutional safeguards, and addressing community concerns as a formal contingency built into the resolution.
Police Commissioner Michael Muldrow said he is a supporter of the camera network. and is disappointed with the outcome, but respects the council's decision and the community concerns.
But a lot of the hours, a lot of the commitment, a lot of the resources that went into it in good faith. There was time being volunteered, it was expertise being volunteered, all because everybody was of like mind. They wanted to see the best for the community, and they thought maybe this was a resource that could help.
And Muldrow told me even though the camera network isn't happening right now, programs like the Night Watch cameras and the GVI program are still in full effect. City Council hasn't indicated if this camera watch system will be coming on the ballot anytime soon. Live in downtown New York, Marcy Walsh, WGAL News 8.
All right, Marcy, thank you. New at 6, a follow-up to an 8 on Your Side investigation about proposed AI data centers and the impact to communities. The state's Public Utility Commission voted today to move forward with its review of data center growth. The PUC is proposing rules that will guide how large electric customers connect to the grid and share costs responsibly while protecting consumers at the same time. The PUC is looking for feedback over the next 30 days, and then it says it will finalize an approach that works for everyone.